All right, welcome to another episode of the Audio Scrawl. This is Brandon.
And I'm Kang, and today is August the 5th, 2016. So what's been going on this pretty slow week?
It's a boring week with news. I'm just, I don't know, watching old programs or whatever, playing some games, reading some books, catching up, still doing that. Still working on I Am Setsuna. I'm playing it here and there. Maybe I'll play like 30 minutes to an hour each time, and I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah, right.
How about you? What have you been up to?
Nothing. Just playing old games.
It's a slow week, not much for news, and I think there's a few things that have come up, but nothing I don't know if it'll last us for a lengthy podcast, but I guess we'll give it a try.
Yeah.
All right. So the topic that I have that I think it would be fun to talk about is... So it's been announced recently that Square Enix has lost $2.4 million on I Am Setsuna. Now, it's based on their losses when it launched in Japan, which launched, let me double check. The game was released in Japan back in February 18th, 2016. So right now, I would say they're probably counting on the global market to try to make up for the losses.
Yeah. And to be fair, 2.4 million loss to a company like Square Enix isn't that bad, you know. Isn't as bad as if it was just, hey, this company came out of nowhere, maybe as like a dream team of like, hey, we're developers of Square Enix, we want to make this game, you know. And then they lost 2.4 million. That would have been devastating. But
yeah.
But this is just a company within Square Enix. I'm like, okay,
So what went wrong? What do you think?
The market's not there, especially in Japan. Anyways,
right.
I feel like because it came out on PC and PS4, PS Vita.
Vita in Japan, yeah,
Vita
it came out for Vita. It's considered like a bad port. Well, not a bad port. It has more load times compared to PS4 and PC.
Yeah,
so kind of considered like an inferior product there.
Yeah, and the Japanese market, they don't play PC games. The console market over there is it's not as big as it once was, that's for sure. And then I guess the Vita was their fallback, kind of like a safety net almost. And then that was a not so good of a port, so in the end, the audience wasn't there in Japan.
Yeah, I think so. This project is because I feel like it has a lot to do with Square Enix, getting people together, telling them, hey, we have a survey, please fill out the survey. You and I have done it before too. Can't help but wonder, like, are they going to do something? Are they going to go back to old school development? I don't know. I mean, it's something I'm asking for. A lot of people are asking for something like a new Chrono Trigger game or another Secret of Mana. And so I'm very interested how this game's going to work out in the US, or I should say the global market. Will it work out? Because, it's very bizarre, because what kind of message are we sending to Square Enix that they're making a loss? And, what are we telling them? Are we telling them this is working out? Let's make more of these games? Or do you think it's smart of them to say, nope, that's it?
Yep, nope, that's it. No, we can't even say that just yet, because the game just barely came out to the US, right? I don't know if it's out in Europe yet, but the US market is a whole lot bigger, that's for sure, than the Japanese market. Not to mention, the PC players is a whole lot bigger than the PS4 players outside of in the US also, and outside of that. So we'll just have to wait and see. Unfortunately, some people do have the mentality of, hey, it's a downloadable game, $40 is too high.
Yeah.
And they will wait for a sale. I don't know where that mentality comes from, but if it's a good game, I believe it's worth the price if it's a good game.
I took the risk of it because it's $40, but I liked how it looks. I mean, it's a very charming game. I like the music, the soundtrack. I like the visual, and I do argue with myself that, hey, I mean, Super Nintendo games were higher than $40 back then, and a lot of the RPGs on the Super Nintendo were they'll take about like 20 to 30 hours to beat. So a lot of people have pointed out that one of the downside of I Am Setsuna is that it's an average of 20 hours to beat the game, and I think that's fine. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's completely fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
20 hours is great for an RPG.
The other criticism would be the narrative of the game, but it's this game is just a love project from fans. I think they're just playing a lot of tribute and homage to games that they love playing, that they enjoy. They want to do something like that. So I don't want the development studio. I don't want Tokyo RPG Factory to get shut down or get punished for taking a chance on a game like this, because I feel like we need this kind of game, or we need like new innovation that is based on this style. I think the market's still there, and a lot of people are voicing it, but I don't know. I mean, either they will do a new project, or their next project they need to get a writer, a scenario writer, to kind of step up their game. They need like a strong writer, something like Masato Kato, and just have a compelling story. I think the gameplay is there; it's solid. I like the game, but maybe the story. Yeah, I mean the story could be better.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would like them to give that company another chance, another shot.
Yeah.
Of making another old school style RPG before completely closing them down.
Yeah, I think they have potential. And so another game I want to talk about. It's been announced. And I feel like this can be grouped to the topic of what I'm talking about with I Am Setsuna. That. I think the question comes down to is, are we proving ourselves wrong? Because the fans have been demanding for old school games. We're seeing all these new games, such as Sonic the Hedgehog. We've seen so many Final Fantasy, but then they're kind of deviating away from what made those games great. And some of these companies are starting to come in and go, all right, we'll make that game, we'll make that old school game the way you remember it. And so Sega announced through the San Diego Comic-Con, we haven't talked about it before, they announced the new Sonic Mania coming out for the PS4,
Xbox One, and PC.
And it's pretty neat because I think the story behind it is this guy, what is it, something Christian Whitehead?
Christian Whitehead?
Yeah, he... I'm not too familiar. I've been hearing a little bit about like the backstory that this guy has done HD ports.
Yeah,
for
I believe,
Sonic the Hedgehog games. That worked on the iOS port.
He's made like fan games, and then Sega caught wind of that, and then he was making them in his own engine, his own 2D sprite engine, and then Sonic caught wind of that, and they decided to hire him to make the HD ports for the iOS for mobile. And they are really good, actually.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they got him again to remake Sonic Mania, which is based on his engine, new gameplay mechanics introduced, new levels introduced back into the old games. So
it looks really good.
Really good, yeah.
It kind of got me fired up. I feel like playing Sonic the Hedgehog too. I think we go back and forth getting mixed about, do we like Sonic or is it our nostalgia that likes Sonic the Hedgehog?
It's our nostalgia
era.
It's our nostalgia. The game's not really good, to be honest.
They're frustrating too.
Yeah, like everyone emphasizes, Sonic's got to go fast, but when you play past the first zone, Green Hill Zone, whatever, the first zone, once you get past that zone, it stops becoming fast. It becomes a platformer, like a very slow platformer at that too.
Yeah, it is, with weird physics. The physics is not as tight as Mega Man or Mario. And
then every now here and there, in the level, they will sprinkle moments of speed. It's like, okay, I'm going fast here, and then it'll stop. You'll hit a wall or hit a spring or something, and it'll stop momentum, and then back to platforming.
But what they did, I think they showed a gameplay footage from San Diego Comic-Con, and there was something about the video that kind of made me, respect Sonic the Hedgehog for doing this, for having very large levels. the levels are vertically
Yeah,
big.
yeah, they're like 5 layers.
Yeah, and I have to give him credit for those games of how fun it is that you can go back and play it, and you can play through those levels and do something completely different. You can go to the lower area of the game, you can be in the middle, or you can go to the higher point of the game, which the higher point is very difficult because if you mess up or you don't have the physics right where you're trying to launch yourself up in the air, you could just miss a platform and just fall all the way to the bottom. So there's things there that will get you coming back. What's cool about the new game is they'll be bringing back Tails and Knuckles and just focusing on those characters. No one else, no Amy Rose, no other characters beyond
No Biggs
that.
the cat.
That's right. So, yeah, in your honest opinion, what do you think about this game? Do you think...
I think it looks great, to be honest.
Yeah.
As someone who has played, most of the 2D Sonic games, I've played 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. I didn't really play I took a peek at the Sonic CD, but that's just from the like the Sonic collections.
Yeah.
But it looks great. I mean,
They
those are the
released-
games I want to play.
They released Sonic CD on PlayStation 3, or I think they just released the game by itself for for download. And it's one of those games I've always wanted to play. I never got a chance to play when I was a kid, and now that I finally played it, it's quite good actually. It definitely inspires certain techniques and moves for the future sequels. But yeah, I mean that game came out before Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it's quite good, and I like it. I like the visual aesthetics of it too. I think the frustrating part too, that's like super OCD about it, would be trying to get the best ending, where trying to fix the future, I guess, and that seemed like that would give me a headache of like trying to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll get players coming back.
So what do you think of it?
I'm optimistic for the game. It looks better than Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
Yeah, that's true. It's not hard to do, I suppose.
We played a little bit of Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
I beat Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
What did you think of that game?
It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. It's fine.
I mean, people complain about like, oh, his running, the physics is all run, but really start off really slow. But then they added the whole like homing attack mechanic to it, and I thought them building the game almost around that system made sense, and it was enjoyable because I'm not really a Sonic purist. I'm like, oh, that's not the Sonic physics. I'm like, all right, cool. This is what they gave me. I'll work with it.
Yeah.
But I never played episode 2, so.
Do you think this game's gonna backfire?
Like, what do you mean?
Predictions, like when this game comes out, do you think this game will do fairly well? Do you think, everyone's like all excited, they get the game, they finally play it, and then it doesn't work out?
I don't think it'll be fine. I think it will do better than the other Sonic game they announced. That's apparently not Sonic Generations 2, so.
Yeah. I think I was kind of laughing because I heard about this. It sounds like what the prediction is going on is possibly like the new 3D Sonic game that Sega's working on that'll come out in the future. They say that game is not going to be as good as Sonic Mania, but it's going to sell a lot. While Sonic Mania is going to probably do very well with the critics, but may not sell as much or not enough.
And I can see it that way too.
Yeah. So I feel like this kind of compares with I Am Setsuna because these are games that are being made by fans who want to bring these genres back. Trying to bring everyone back to a place of when we used to play video games and we enjoyed them. But do we really want them? I mean, we ask for it, we demand for it, but is it really what we want?
We as fans ask for them, and the fans dwindle down, I suppose. Like, so that number, we are the small vocal minority, so we want them. That doesn't mean it's the numbers that the companies want.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's an interesting time right now, but I think other things that are going on that are killing or hurting the sales of these games is there's a huge number of games coming out, a lot of games, a lot of indie games, and they're just spitting out these games. I feel like certain titles I'm excited about are just being overcrowded, and I don't think these are. I don't think they're making the sales that they want to reach.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's just way too many competition out there, a lot more than there should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it about that topic. Anything else you got?
Nothing much. I want to talk about the. Well, we've played the King of Fighters 14 demo, right?
That's right. I played it.
Yeah,
finally.
And apparently it has a auto combo mechanic in there.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is you just hit the square button, which is literally just a weak attack, right? The weak punch.
Yeah.
You just keep hitting that button and it'll perform a combo for you. So it's like press square for awesome.
It is very similar to Persona in that you'll hit it 2 or 3, I would say 3 times, that it's a unique pattern, unique attack patterns,
Mm-hmm.
because there's second and third combo chain. The normal attack I'm looking at, I can't perform that with normal input buttons.
No, you can't.
So it's just like Persona where it's a unique attack when you do the combo. And just like Persona, when you have a meter filled up and you keep tapping square, then they're going to use their super combo.
Yeah, at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And yeah, I mean, how do you feel about that?
I don't like it. I don't like it when it's mandatory. When it's
Mm-hmm.
always on and you can't turn it off. I want every game that does, try to incorporate it. And I understand why. They want to give new players the ability to button mash and feel like they're accomplishing something,
Yes.
But I want them, if it's mandatory, have the option to turn it off or to switch between normal and easy controls.
Mm-hmm.
Like how the Marvel, the Capcom versus series has been doing, the Marvel versus Capcom and all that stuff. They have an easy, a simple and a normal control scheme. Why can't any other fighting games have that? Which is weird.
Yeah.
And every game should.
I agree. So playing a little bit more with that, I was unimpressed with the auto combos. I'm trying to figure out how I can chain from them, and I'm still trying to work that out. I know there are probably ways to do it, but nothing is striking with me. So then I started doing normal combos, and I started playing around with some of the characters, especially with Kyo Kusanagi, and I was really messing around with Kyo, and I was enjoying Kyo. Kyo has been an interesting character to play as. You have vanilla. I mean, there's different versions of Kyo where he has different normal attacks and special moves. And the current one, his movesets where you can do these chains. Kind of Rekka. He's kind of like a Rekka character. He has those close range flame attacks. That's become the staple of the series. That's his normal fighting style. And for the first time ever, it was finally speaking with me. I kind of thought these combos were fun. And they actually opened up a lot of options. There were a lot of combos, combination of normal attacks, and then chaining into the special moves, and then chaining to another special move. And then ending up doing a super move combo. And I was doing it by myself, and it felt very rewarding. Have you felt that way about normal combos, setting stuff up yourself compared to auto combos?
I do it all the time, Brad. I play fighting games.
Well, we all know that, but I mean, for the listeners, come on.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, figure out what mechanics works per character is always fun to try out, fun to learn. Takes a lot of patience because you're trying to figure out the ins and out of a character, and this game does have 48 to start off with.
It's so overwhelming, though.
2 more boss characters.
Because I was just spending time on practice with a character. I was trying out Shunei, and I was enjoying that character. I mean, some of his moves, it does seem kind of like your typical hero character, where you got the quarter circle attacks and the anti-air.
Mm-hmm.
His super special, I was really enjoying because it kind of had that JoJo feel to it. But he's actually I thought he was a good new character to play as, and there's still others I want to get my hands on, and I like it though. I'm very excited for this game. The game, I feel like it performs really well visually. It looks good. It gets the job done. It's not a terrible looking PS4 game. I think it runs really well.
Yeah. It looks like a high-end PS3 game.
Or a 60 frame per second PS2 3D game.
Yeah. But it does the job, so I'm not complaining.
It plays like a King of Fighters, and I'm happy about that.
It really does. Mm-hmm.
And I'm very pleased with the game. And they keep showing previews for the new teams or the old school teams. I think they showed. I got excited for Akari Warrior team when I saw all three of them. Yeah, I'm excited. I dig Ralph and Jones. Or Ralph and Clark, not Jones. Why am I saying Jones?
I don't know.
Who knows? Ralph and Clark, those two guys are awesome.
Yep. Ikari Warriors.
That's right. All right.
And let's see. Moving on from that, more information actually from for the Nintendo NX has come out.
Okay.
And it's from MCV. And you gotta admit, the console is literally 7 months away, so people do have the console in hand. Mm-hmm. People are making it, so Nintendo's probably showing it around by now. And some interesting tidbits are coming out of it. The first one is there will be a Mario and a Pokemon game coming within the first 6 months of that console.
That's not bad.
Handheld.
Yeah.
It's not too bad because what it is.
I'd rather them, especially Mario. I'd rather Mario be a launch title for it. But I mean, within 6 months, I feel like that's good news.
Yeah, because Nintendo is putting together like they say Nintendo is putting together a AAA software lineup to ensure NX flies out of the gate next year.
That's what it needs.
And of course, they're also talking with their third party publishers to have more third party support. But the bigger news of that, which is, and I quote, it's a nice bit of kit, a bit of a novelty, but a good one. Said one exec that has got hands on with the machine. It won't appeal to PS4 fans, and I'm assuming they mean like quote unquote hardcore gamers or something like that. It won't appeal to PS4 fans. Nintendo seems set on trying to upgrade smartphone gamers. That's going to be a big job for the marketing department. That part right there, won't appeal to the core, quote unquote, core fans, core gamers, and trying to upgrade smartphone gamers. Mm-hmm. What do you think of those statements?
So, after our discussion from last week, I keep thinking about it, and when you told me about that information earlier today, I think I've I've marinated with this information, and I'm starting to nod my head. I'm thinking about like all the company strategy in the home console market, and I'm nodding, and I actually approve what Nintendo is going for. Now, it seems like they are focusing more on like the mobile market. It feels like Nintendo's at a point where, we know what Nintendo's all about. They're all about innovation. We get that ever since the DS and the Nintendo Wii. And they seem to be continuing this trend. Like they try something new with the Wii U and having the gamepad. And then they're still doing stuff with 3DS, where the 3DS is kind of the same as DS before, but I mean, it still works. It's still a great system. 3DS is way more successful than their handheld consoles or handheld systems are way more successful than home console. And I feel like they just want to make a new home console that is basically their handheld. I think they're just trying to innovate what's making them successful. So I feel like it's turning something like a 3DS into a home console.
No. This, it's the other way. No, I guess it's not even the other way. It's they said this first. This is primarily a handheld first, and then home console second. So, So with that saying, it is a handheld device first. They're targeting the handheld audience. This sounds very worrisome for me because with this, take an average mobile gamer.
Mm-hmm.
What do they play? Angry Birds,
Yeah, the simple games.
Flappy Birds, of what is it, Candy Crush, things that
Yeah.
takes 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
With this device, how are they going to, people who don't spend money, pretty much. People who, like, at max,
Yeah.
maybe spend, like, $5 in-game, for, like, in-game currency. And now Nintendo's trying to market them, like, hey, we want you to buy another $100 console that for you to play your mobile game on.
Yeah.
That's not a phone,
Yeah.
right? and this they also say that the power will be between a PS3 and PS4,
Mm-hmm.
which is what everyone was suggesting the Wii U was.
Yeah.
So with this, how will the ports be handled?
Yeah, I mean, we have to look
From-
at Dragon
from third
Quest
parties,
11. I mean, we look at
Well,
Zelda
the
Breath
room,
of the,
yeah.
of
We
the
look at
Wild.
Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay, go ahead.
That's it right there. Like that's how the game's going to be
Mm-hmm.
for the NX.
NX, yeah.
Now the question that we have is, how's Dragon Quest 11 going to be?
Yeah, because it's running on a PS4, and if this rumor is suggesting it's weaker, so is it going to be a very downgraded PS4 port, or is it going to be the 3DS port?
It's going to be like an upgraded 3DS port.
Yeah, and so with this, and one of my other concerns is with the PlayStation Neo and Xbox Scorpio, the games are only going to get run better and look better, whereas the NX is so far behind.
Yeah.
Third-party support, it might just be a Wii U all over again, because to port these high-end console games, port it down to the NX. And at this point, I'm just guessing, it's underpowered. There's no confirmation of it just yet.
Yeah.
It's just me stating my opinions. So if it's if it's going to be underpowered again, it's just another Wii U situation where developers are like it's not worth the trouble of downporting.
Yeah.
So
All that hard work.
yeah, and then, that is
Just like Call of Duty for the Wii.
yeah, and that's my concern, because Sony knocked it out of the park with the marketing with the PS4.
Yeah.
Here's the most powerful console there is. These are the games coming out for it. These are everything's just for the gamer, and everybody loves it. That's why they are outpacing the PS3 in sale, like, by a lot. They were literally neck and neck with Wii U sales for like the longest time.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know where they're at now. They probably slowed down a little bit, but with Nintendo coming out, it's like, hey, we're trying to reach we're not going for the core, the quote unquote core gamers, which is the audience that you should be also be aiming for, but we're gonna go for the mobile market, which is so saturated.
Yeah, the mobile.
Mm-hmm.
But you could say the same about home consoles too, like the hardcore game consoles, how they're being heavily saturated by Sony, Microsoft, and PC, as well as indie developers too. I mean, there's just so much out there for the hardcore gamers, and Nintendo's still just trying to focus more on the non-hardcore, like the casual gamers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying something where I feel like it might be more casual friendly compared to the Wii U, because I just find the Wii U to be kind of a mess. Something like, Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo has always had issues where you have like these upgrade controllers, new accessories to go with it, and it just becomes a mess. And I feel like Wii U is just clunky, very clunky with the pad, and then it also requires like the Wii remote controls.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that's too much.
And you don't think this isn't the same situation? Now they have a portable with supposedly detachable controllers. You don't think nobody's gonna make extra attachments, accessories for those? I think
Probably gonna happen.
I think
they all have attachments. Maybe Xbox One might. Surprisingly, Xbox One or Microsoft's doing pretty good where there's not a lot of new add-ons for it. They seem to be trying to keep that simple.
Well, they came out with a new controller.
Yeah. But when you look at the Sony PlayStation 4, and we're having, they have the Move, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, the PlayStation Move. Yeah,
the PlayStation Move, which isn't being utilized very well. I mean, we got the camera, and VR's coming out as well.
Yeah, VR's coming out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, with Nintendo, I mean, I think it's fine. The detachable controllers, I think it'll be okay. I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, it just feels like I can't imagine a lot of third-party accessory creators focusing on it too much. I mean, it depends on what Nintendo has provided for the system. Because, back in the Game Boy days, everyone's trying to build, like, light-up screens or magnifiers for it. And now we have a system where, I mean, if you don't want to play it on the go, I mean, just take it home, plug it into a TV, and then just play it as a console.
And that's not, and like, how would that home port work? Would it be more powerful? Would you still be playing the NX portable version on there? And see,
that's the mystery right there.
The thing is that, yeah, and here's the problem with that. Like, Nintendo console works great with first-party games. Third-party games, not so much.
Right.
They always have to, all the GameCube came out. The controller was weird. Like, all of Nintendo's game works great. Any other third-party game, like, was kind of pretty janky and wonky.
Yeah.
Like, fighting games didn't work well on it.
Awful.
Yeah.
You bring up something, too, about, like, how's it going to play? I started thinking about, with this coming out, I started thinking about the time when DS came out, and it was kind of competing with the Game Boy Advance. I'm kind of wondering what's the future of the 3DS. And the fact that this console, they're saying that's going to be a handheld first over home console. Will the third-party developers support it just as much as like what they've done with the DS?
And the thing is that, because it sounds so alien right now, actually. And so Nintendo has to show, like, hey, here's what you can do with the console, and then prove it. Unlike the Wii U, where it's like Nintendo with the Wii U, Nintendo's like, hey, here's what you can do, and they did it, and then they didn't do anything with it. Everything was, oh, here's a second screen. Oh, playing Mario Kart. Here's the honk button.
Yeah.
And even Breath of the Wild, I hear is the most controller. Mainly focused controller game yet, Zelda yet. Like all of the demos I hear, they barely used the touchpad at all with that game.
I think that's good though. I like that. Okay, let's look at it this way. Instead of focusing too much on it as like a console, let's look at the handheld competition. Okay. What else is there? We have NX. We have 3DS. What do you think? Should that be there?
Maybe. I wouldn't even say it is. Wouldn't be.
Is it going to repeat the situation of Game Boy Advance versus a DS?
It's not. I don't think it's going to be there. I think because it's still using carts. They haven't. Oh, I guess it was thrown there for now. Sure.
Okay. We got the Vita. Okay. Are we going to include that?
Sure.
Okay.
I wouldn't include the 3DS or the Vita, but yeah. But for now, we'll.
All right. So let me ask this. This is a tricky one. Should we include like mobile in there? Like, I'm talking about Android.
Yes.
Okay.
We're completely included because that's what they're aiming for right now. That is the ocean Nintendo's trying to is fishing in right now. Yes. They've even said, the report has even stated all of Nintendo's mobile games will work on the NX. With that said, if it's this big clunky, tablet, almost big tablet with controllers, nobody's going to carry two portables. Like, why would they carry the NX when they have an iPhone or an Android which fits in their pockets?
Yeah, or a simple like 3DS, that just folds up, nice and tight.
Why would they?
Vita's a great size too,
and that's the challenge Nintendo faces. Trying to get that market. Like, hey, we want you to play your mobile games on this. That's not really a phone.
Do you think is it the size of a tablet? I'm just kind of curious about that.
The size of a tablet? It's like the screen's like 7 inches, right? At least. Minimum.
I wasn't sure about. I don't know if I heard the peripherals about how big the screen is.
Well, but if it's we don't know the specific details of the screen size just yet. But even then, this is imagine with buttons, tactile buttons and analog sticks.
Yeah,
that's going to add bulk to it.
Needs to too. It needs to feel comfortable in our hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like it needs to be about the size, or at least a tiny bit bigger than the 3DS. And I'll give it the 3DS XL. I'll go there. Like, I would say around the size of 3DS XL. I think that might be a pretty good size for it. How about you? What do you think? Are you hoping that it would be like that size? You think it would work?
That would be too small. Imagine the 3DS XL and then pulling the two sides apart as a controllers. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be comfortable at all.
No, suppose not.
Yeah. So there's this, and everything I hear is just like, well, it's not appealing to me. I guess I'm just gonna wait a couple years and see what happens, because
I kind of feel the
definitely
same. I'm kind of rooting for them on that. I'm very, very curious what they're going for, because it is different. They are going in a different direction. Microsoft has their direction as well. They seem to be trying to go for powerful console. Like, they're trying to go for maybe like PC appeal.
Yeah, Microsoft is totally going for the complete merger of their Xbox and their PC side of gaming. So
that's where they're going, and I applaud them for doing that.
It's because they have to. To be honest, if the Xbox One wasn't beating, if the Xbox One was beating Sony right now, they would not care.
Probably true. But I like that all three companies, they have their goals. They're doing something different, and I'm very curious how that'll work out. But I think you and I are okay with our PS4. I mean, it's our safe console. It's what it is. But Nintendo, that's a tricky one, because I'm certain you're like me, where I don't want them to fail.
I want.
Yeah.
I don't want Nintendo to fail. I want Nintendo to come back and make me want them again.
That's right.
I started with Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I had the NES, Super Nintendo 64, and GameCube.
Right, you said the right thing right there. Yeah. The Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Will we ever get a game like that again?
We had some with the Galaxies, right?
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. No, but with that, I want them, and then they fell off with the Wii for me. It's like, well, they're not making any more games because they don't need to anymore, because they had the casual audience, so they're like, whatever, we'll just make games whenever. And then the Wii U came out, and then it was just kind of like, why would I win the PS3, and then the next generation was literally right next to the corner. So I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah. The closest game I kind of feel like about Super Mario 64 would be Super Mario Sunshine, but there are still elements about it that's not quite there. And I'm just very, very curious how it's going to control. It's just everything about the NX. It's just a complete mystery. The way they describe it is just, it's hard to wrap my mind around it.
Well, they say, like I said, rumors again. They might sell it in September, and they have to sell it soon.
They need to. They can't delay any longer, because
they say it come out in March. So
it's getting scary.
Yeah, and Nintendo has been doing a pretty bad job at this, keeping because once something leaks, people talk about it, like how everybody talks about it, and they talk about positively or negatively, and Nintendo's not there to yo, don't listen to them, we have our own plans. Instead, Nintendo's letting people talk. So now it's not going to live up to expectations.
It could be a genius plans, but it's a strategy that they need to be very, very careful about, because if this is going where it's going and the console does blow our minds away, then that's great. That's what it's supposed to do. But if we're disappointed and it is what it is, it's hard to kind of recover after that.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things once again, going back to Sony did a smart, you know, like
Yes.
when before the PS4 launched, I remember hearing some stuff like, oh, you know, Sony might be releasing a new console soon, and then like some leaked images of like, here's a prototype controller or something, and people like went crazy, and then really not soon after, Sony's like, yo, we're gonna hold this PlayStation event in February, you know, for the reveal of the next big thing, you know, pretty much the PlayStation 4, and
Yeah,
everyone's like, okay, so,
yeah, they're communicating with the fans or with the
here Nintendo's
audience.
like, was it 2 years ago? Like, oh, we have the NX, but don't worry about it. And people were like, wait, what? You don't say you're working on a new console, and then like just cut it off for like another 2 years, and then when information starts trickling out, and people are like, oh, this sounds terrible, or this sounds okay, or this sounds good. Like, say something, you know, say something to like, no, don't listen to those. You know, keep it down. We're gonna show this soon enough, you know.
Yeah.
Instead, they're not. So they're letting people's imagination run wild, and
Yeah.
the more they talk, you know, the more it's like, well, this is gonna be harder and harder to impress.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my opinion.
That'll be interesting. I mean, it just comes down to the games, and I'm hoping they're good. Them announcing a new Mario game, I'm hoping it's good. I'm still like crossing fingers to have another Mario 64 type of game.
Yeah, because they haven't had one of those forever.
Like, I'm okay with the new Super Mario Brothers, but I feel like I find new Super Mario Brothers to be a little bit more limited compared to the NES or the Super Nintendo counterparts. I love those games because they have like a sense of exploration. They're pretty big games, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I like them for that. Whereas the new Super Mario Brothers, I find those to be much more straightforward and more limited. I mean, I enjoy playing 4-player co-op. It's fun. It's a blast. But I just feel like they're a little bit held back differently from the old school games.
Yeah, and for me personally, I fell off of Nintendo's IPs, you know. Aside from, you know, granted, they make Splatoon, which is fantastic, but, you know, I haven't cared for Pokemon for like the longest time, you know, because it's literally the same thing. You know, start off in the town, pick one of 3 Pokemons, and
Pokemon game, I feel like it's good if it's a generational gap for like for those who are not like super hardcore, but just, you know, enjoy Pokemon for what it is. It's like me playing Red and Blue, and I played Gold and Silver, but then I stopped playing Pokemon. I've always wanted to play Ruby and Sapphire, and I was close to getting Black and White, but that just never happened until finally XY came out for 3DS, and I felt like after all these years and all these generations that has come by, now's the time to play it. And I played playing some of X, and I thought, yeah, I like this. I kind of like this generational gap.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty neat.
You know, I fell off of Mario forever because it's just like, well, it's kind of the same thing, you know. Like,
Right.
You're still just going collecting stars, or like none of the characters are interesting anymore. Zelda, I fell off of because it was literally the same thing, and Twilight and Skyward Sword was terrible.
I'm gonna give this new one
but,
a chance, but
I will say Breath of the Wild look.
But
really
I know
good.
what you mean. Like Skyward Sword, I had no interest in because I think Twilight Princess. I think the problem with Twilight Princess, it's weird. Why do I have an issue with Twilight Princess compared to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask? Maybe they were doing stuff that made it too lengthy of a game. That could have been an issue. I feel like Hyrule was too large. It takes me forever to kind of get to certain areas. Like, some areas like blocked off. There's nothing you can do about it. So I got sick of it. Like, just sick and tired of like going through all this stuff. A very long tutorial.
So just filler, pretty much, almost.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But you know, and outside of that, you know, Splatoon,
Star Fox.
Star Fox was really bad. It was bad enough that even Aonuma came out and say like, we're not gonna prioritize, or he said something to Atkins of like using the gamepad touch controls kind of breaks the immersion between you and the game, you know, because you can always keep looking back up and down, you know, breaking your vision between the game and the gamepad. Like, oh, okay. He said something like that.
Yeah.
When they were showing off Breath of the Wild. So I'm like, well, if Aonuma says it, then Nintendo made a bad controller.
Yep. Yeah, it was a weird gimmick. I mean, I kind of find that to be, weirdly enough, worse than the motion controls.
And they never used it well. Like, it would have been so easy to make like a or Nintendo to like, hey, maybe there's like a D&D game, you know, Dungeons and Dragons game. You are the dungeon master. Place your enemies here. Here's the boss, and like 3 people with the controller play through the game.
Yeah, there was potential there. Yeah, who utilized it?
Yeah, they never did that.
No. Yeah, it could have been a great party console. We haven't played party games on the Wii U in a long time. Not even our friend Greg hasn't been like getting us over to play. But what kind of sucks about that situation is half the time we can't play because he doesn't have the other controllers. Yeah. Because he's not spending any more money on those controllers.
Yeah, and he has no reason to. Just he is, you know, he does have 4 people at his place. You know, he's just by himself.
Yeah. So when we get together, we just, you know, all of us just kind of we pitch in, bring our own controllers, get together, and then do that. But if it's not planned ahead of time, it's kind of a, you know, we don't play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, I do like I said, I do like Splatoon, which is one of the most refreshing game I guess anyone has ever made, you know.
Yeah.
That and Mario Maker isn't too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also just curious about Dragon Quest XI for that. Like that's the weirdest thing right there.
It really is.
Because you have this for the PlayStation 4, which looks like a step up from Dragon Quest VIII. I mean, that's the game I've been waiting for.
Step up, yeah.
And then you have it for the 3DS, where it's a little bit old school. Like I mean, it kind of meshes between like Dragon Quest 4 meets Dragon Quest 9. And it looks charming. It looks charming for the 3DS. Like, I'm digging that, but I just prefer the PS4. I want that. But the NX being in between those two, like, how's the game going to turn out? Is it going to be a downgrade of PS4 or an upgrade of 3DS?
Yeah.
That's what's going to be weird about it. Or is it going to be its own thing?
Yeah, that's true. Or is it going to be its own thing? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, for all we know, it could be its own thing for the NX. But... man, that's a lot of stuff putting into that game for Square. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna be triple dipping on that.
Not me.
All right. Well,
yeah,
that's pretty much about it about NX. I mean, and like I'm not hating on the console. I'm just super curious about it. I'm very fascinated about what's going on. Who are they aiming at? You know, I can't say that. Oh, Nintendo, like. You're failing. I can't say that yet because, you know, it's like looking at the Wii. It's not my console, but I still owned it. I still play games for it. I enjoy it. But they knew who they were marketing towards, and they were very successful because of that for the Wii.
Yeah, and the market was there at the time.
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah, and I'm not. Well, I guess I am kind of but you know, Nintendo hasn't made.
You care so much.
I do care. I care so much that I want Nintendo to win me back. But but everything I read is just kind of like, why?
Yeah.
You know? But you know, obviously, I'm not the audience for it.
When it comes down to it, I think you and I are the people who really want them to be like. We want them to be up there with the Sony PlayStation 4.
Yeah, and exactly.
We want like a powerful console that's just kind of like. Like I think maybe if you and I had the choice, we would either like own both consoles proudly, or maybe kind of be like, one or the other. Pick one. I'll go with Nintendo because the games and it's the company. I know them and I love this.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt with the N64 in the very beginning. Was yes, like great games in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Until PlayStation happened, and then there weren't quite a huge amount of games for the 64, and that. Just kind of died down.
Yeah.
This weird natural order of things. And then the GameCube just kind of ends up becoming like second priority.
Yeah, and you know, and as we get older, we can't, you know, we're not going to buy all the systems anymore.
No, we probably can't even buy two systems anymore.
So
like I'm okay with buying a home console and having a handheld by Nintendo because the handheld are still going in a direction that I like it to be.
Yeah.
Like they're doing good. The Vita, I wish the Vita would be stronger because you and I own both a Vita and 3DS, and I love both the handheld systems, but I just happen to like 3DS more because, well, it's getting more support. Vita, it just needs more support. It needs more third party, or a bigger push,
or more well known.
Yes,
IPs, I guess.
Vita, and I think about the NX, sort of something like Vita, about what's going on here, because Vita is kind of a weird system itself as well, where it could be like a home console, because a lot of the games that come out for the Vita, and even back with the PSP, there were games that were trying to emulate PlayStation 2 home console games, or I should say emulate just home console in general.
Yeah.
And they don't really work out as well as their home console counterpart. And handhelds succeed in the place that they have handheld games. A lot of those RPGs and old school RPGs seem to work out better for those handheld systems. Party games work out better, like Monster Hunters. They thrive on handhelds. So yeah, they gotta be very careful about like what they want to do with the NX. Who are the market? The market is perfect for the Japanese audience, I feel.
Yeah, it definitely is.
They're heavy on the commuters.
Yep.
Might do pretty well in Europe because they're heavy on commuters, but in America, that's a tricky thing because I want to say a quarter of the population might be commuters, but most people are driving or riding riding in a car.
Yeah.
And I don't think they get into their handhelds too much.
Yeah.
And that's tricky right there.
Yeah. I agree, but then there's also going back to the rumor of it just being like incredibly cheap. You know, so it's just gonna be like, oh, if it's so cheap, it might just be an impulse buy for most people, you know.
And if it's a grand system too, and it's handheld and it breaks, that would suck to replace. If it's a very powerful system with like, expensive technology, that would really suck to replace. I think the 3DS and the Vita, if either of those break, I wouldn't have a problem replacing them. It's expensive, but I wouldn't have too much of an issue replacing them. Yeah, that's an interesting point you made there too about the price of the NX. I mean that if it's an impulse buy, then yeah, that could work. And bringing up about like the American demographic too. And that's another thing that I think about, where they're making a handheld that's meant to be like it's home console secondary, making a system like that, making it like a home console type of platform. It's hard to explain this. It's such a crazy system. But I want to say that, just hear me out. I want to say that because it has features of being like a home console with major games, that could appeal to the American demographic who aren't into like mobile and handheld stuff, but having a console like that where it has hardcore games and people just want to play on their screen, that could work, but it just comes down to how's it going to plug in, how's it going to work.
How easy is it? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, guess we'll have to find out. But all right, we kind of like extended that discussion on the NX there.
That's enough for the NX discussion.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it ever again until they have their announcement.
Or next week when another rumor leaks.
I don't know, man. I'm scared for another rumor leaks because everything that we're talking about, all the opinions that we're expressing here, all of a sudden we're just going to like backpedal and just be like, hey, remember what I said last week?
Yeah.
Erase it. No, I was completely wrong.
Yeah, maybe we need to, Maybe they do come out with something. Well, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we can spend like a quick minute and just kind of update ourselves about like, has our opinions changed? What's going on there? And who can it appeal to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely excited for Tokyo Game Show.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. Anything else to discuss? I think that's about it. We actually spent a lot more time on that discussion than I thought.
Oh, yeah? No, that about wraps it up for me, unless you have anything else.
No, that's it.
All right, man. All right, catch you guys later. What do you guys think about the new NX rumors? Go ahead and let us know.
Later.